Pop the hood. Let me see what you got here.
About 100 grand and a few overnight parts from Japan, you can decimate all.
Here we go. Looks a little bit different than stock.
A little bit.
Okay, all right. Looks good. It's just like a black and silver. It's like a perfect blend with the valve covers. It makes all the bolts stand out too.
Right.
It looks good. And the bolts being, you know, new bolts stands out.
Actually, a lot of the bolts are the original bolts, but when Dusty put it all back together, he took the time and he wire wheeled all the bolt heads.
Oh, wow.
So they're all the OE bolts that came out of the motor from the factory.
Damn.
And he took a little longer to get back than I'd like, but everything was definitely one of those like attention to detail kind of things. And I told him from the rip, I said I didn't need it anyway. There was no real rush on this, but kind of towards the end, a little bit of like the getting closer to the finish line amped up my like, oh, I just want to get it back, kind of like, you see the progress and you're like,
yeah.
It's kind of like when you're having a kid and it's like 8 months, 9 months, and you're, oh, it's gonna be back any day, and then it's here and it's like, what do I do with this thing now?
Yeah.
Well, hopefully you don't break it.
So you still have the stock intake?
All right, so this is the trick flow elbow that they give you when you get the street burner intake, and this is the street burner intake. This isn't the track heat intake.
Okay.
So this is the smaller of the two intakes.
Okay.
And I went with the stock, well, it's not stock, but I went with the stock style 70 millimeter single throttle body instead of doing the Cobra twin 57s, because you could do that. It's just like you just change this plenum and you can change to the twin 57s. But I already had this 70 millimeter trick flow or 75 millimeter trick flow for my last setup. So I said, hey, I'll just buy that. And then they gave you the factory, well, trick flow's factory pipe, and that's ran into a 90 millimeter lightning math, and then we put the heat shield from the factory GT with a aftermarket filter down in there. You can kind of see it, a little bit of red poking through.
Yep.
So it's got a high flow dry filter in there.
Okay.
And that kind of pulls from the factory location of the wheel well, so it like feeds up into there, keeps some of the heat out from that.
Yeah. That's always been my biggest thing, is keeping the engine bay heat away from the intake.
Yeah.
So I kind of like how it's like double purpose. Like it does that, plus it also really keeps the engine bay stealthy. Like
right.
If somebody didn't really know, they would just see like, oh man, he just put money into like making the motor look nicer, put some valve covers on it, you know, and just kind of cleaned it up. But like, it's got a lot to it, you know, and it looks clean at the same time.
Yeah, it's got the underdrive pulleys from Steeda. They were kind of like a last minute thought. It was kind of a pain in the ass because of this right here. This is a little custom modification. So the Steeda underdrive pulleys work with the regular alternator facing of a Mustang, which has the pulley facing out towards the radiator. But because you have to flip it with this way, you have to extend the bracket out. And we had to mill the bottom of the bracket to clearance the belt for the larger Steeda pump overdrive pulley on the water pump. So we put it together and we're like, oh, this is going great. And then we tried to slide the belt on and it doesn't fit. Yeah. So we had to like mill out the bracket a little bit so it fit. And then it clearanced and it worked then.
So that's not a F1X blower then?
It's not a F1X blower.
Oh, okay.
I wish it was.
All right. It looked like maybe it was like a compact Eco version,
yeah, it's
you know.
Eco FX.
Eco FX1, whatever.
Hybrid.
So,
FX.
give me a quick rundown of what the car is now, because the car was sitting for a while.
Yes. I'd say about 6 years. It had a motor in it. It was running and driving.
You had the built motor in it, right, for boost.
Built motor.
And you kind of wanted to go back to just a all motor a stock bottom end all motor car that was just reliable.
A get in and turnkey car. That's what I wanted. A get in and turnkey car, because I've literally fought with this car since 2010. with 2 different motor setups, 2 different sets of heads, 2 different sets of cams. Literally broke everything on this. I broke the trans twice, broke the rear 3 times, and it's not fun when you get into stuff and start breaking it. So it had the built motor, forged crank, Cobra crank, mainly rods, CP pistons, with my trick flow heads with a comp cam in it, and it ran, but the car never had a power adder on it, so it never was like there.
Yeah, it was like it only has half of its potential because it's
all low compression. It was gapped for boost, and it had tons of blow by because it was just not the right setup. Like, you have to have your setup right.
Even with that setup, even just a built motor with no power adder, it still was trapping like 112.
Right.
So it was pretty decent.
Yeah. So it was like, I don't know. It was good, but it wasn't good. It was good to run, but like it would eat oil because of the rings and the blow-by issues. So I just got tired of it, and you can't really enjoy that by getting in it and going out, and you got to check the oil every time you get in the car, make sure you're not going to kill the block. And so I went back. My buddy did a Terminator swap in his GT, so he had a lower mileage stock factory PI block out of a 99 plus car. I think his car was 2000. So I got the block off him. I didn't touch the block at all. Just left it alone, completely alone. The only thing I did to the block was I put a new oil pan on it, and then obviously I re-gasketed the thing from head to toe, cleaned off what little carbon was on the pistons so they were nice and shiny. It didn't have a ridge on the cylinders, so it was proof that it was a low mileage motor. It had super clean crosshatch and super visible. So it wasn't beat up, was taken care of, wasn't really spun that high or romped on. So after that, I got my heads refreshened up. They're the Trick Flow 38cc. I got them back in 2009 on the first motor when I took the stock heads out by an accidental 3-2 shift instead of going 3-4. I went 3-2 and spun it to about, I don't know, 10 grand and took every single valve out on the passenger side head. So
damn.
In come Trick Flow, because why leave it stock?
Exactly.
If it's coming off, you got to upgrade.
That's right.
That's rule number uno. If it's coming off, it's getting upgraded.
That's right.
So factory bottom end, Trick Flow 38 cc's. This time around for the setup, I called L&M Race Engines in Pennsylvania. I got the guy over there, super cool guy. I forget the name off the top of my head, but I gave him my setup. Custom ground me a cam for this because we found out while doing research that if you just use a regular cam out of like a GT or like a comp cam cut for a GT PI head or an NPI head, because they're interchangeable, you can make power, but you can't make full power because of twisted wedge. They switch the valves, obviously, twisted wedge heads, and the intake's 180 degrees out on the other side of the head, so the lobe separation's like completely whacked out. And then it was kind of like an afterthought that nobody thought about it, and they were like, oh, we kind of don't know how they run, but they run. So everybody started designing cams for the specific heads to have the correct lobe separation, and they did a great job because the car put down some good numbers. And then obviously I kept everything with the Trick Flow theme because I don't know, I'm a little OCD with making brands match, because I figured that they've done their research to make sure everything flows well together. Street burner intake, like I said, 75mm throttle body by Trick Flow. It's got Coyote injectors in it, adapted. It's got the aluminum radiator, underdrive pulleys, aluminum expansion tank, Optima red top. For exhaust, it's got pipes, long tubes, BBK catted X for visual inspection in New Jersey.
Okay. And
then I just have a SRS catback that I bought off of eBay that me and you installed a while ago, so I reused that same catback. Clutch is a Ram HDX Stage 2 with Exetti street light flywheel, so it's still stainless steel. It's not aluminum, but it's about half the weight of the factory stamped steel, and that really opened it up on just how fast this thing revs. It still has great street manners, and as soon as you hit the key, the thing fires up. It doesn't have like any laggy takeoff. You don't have to like rev it to the moon to get it to take off like some of the Honda guys when they go to their lightweight flywheels. But That's why I stuck with steel over aluminum as well, to not cut down as much, but still give it some. Still has stock steel drive shaft, so I could upgrade that to the aluminum one, figure some of that out. But then when you get to the back of the car, it's got semi-built A8 with 31 spline axles, 31 spline center section, Moser 31 splines, and the 31 spline diff with 410s.
Okay.
It's got 410s in it. It's got a sticky Mickey on SVE drags, the anthracite drags. I just finished up the brakes yesterday. The power stop drilled and slotted kit with the ceramic pads. They stop really well. Way good. Better than my last ones.
Yeah, it looks good.
Still got all factory interior, so it's all factory, limited edition, 99 35th anniversary. The only thing aftermarket in the interior is the 3 gauge for the air fuel, the oil pressure, and the water temp.
Okay.
I wanted everything OE factory in this because of it still semi being one of the rarer GTs of the new edge body style. I mean, who's the guy that Richard Rawlings pals around with? Dennis Collins. Dennis Collins picked up one of these, sold it.
Oh, really?
Yep. He picked up one and he ran it through the auction, and I think he got. Granted, it was showroom condition with bags on the seat, but he still got like almost, I think it was close to $40,000. And it was the same setup. It was Performance Red GT, this year only. It was 4.6, 5-speed car, smoker package, anniversary package with the 2-tone leather, convertible. Like, if you wanted any more options than this in this car in 1999, you had to jump up into the Cobra package.
Wow.
And then they didn't offer like an anniversary package on the Cobra. When you bought this car from Ford in 99, I just figured this out as well. They gave you a 1/18 exact replica diecast of the car, which I'm really pissed that I don't have, and I'm on the hunt for now. Because I have the model of every car I've ever owned.
Yep.
You got a Mustang keychain, a Mustang jacket for like the old like cruising FUDs and stuff like that, and you got like a history of the Mustang book. It was like their anniversary like bundle that came with the car.
That's pretty cool.
But yeah, there's that. And I know somebody in the comments is going to say, why is there a gaping hole in your hood? Well, the last motor I had cocked wrong, I guess, and I was young and retarded, and the throttle body blade used to be on this side. And I guess where it was up, I took it down the road after I got the motor in, and I made a full throttle pull, and I let off the gas, and it did not let off the gas. It just kept going, so I had to get the key, and my gas pedal was like down on the floor, and I had to like smack it, and then I was like, what's going on? My cable's stuck. So I had to pop my hood, and that gave it enough clearance to let the throttle blade actually snap back. And it was like having like a runaway diesel where you got to put like a board in front of it. Like, but
jeez.
Other than that, I mean,
nice. So it's basically a max effort, nice all motor setup.
Yeah.
Fun, reliable. I mean, it's a vert car, so like, I feel like it's the perfect setup for a nice convertible car. Something that's like. Just all motor. It's got the power is always there.
Has full suspension as well. I forgot that. It's got the UPRK member kit.
Okay.
UPR coilovers, strange 10-way adjustables. It's got the strange 10-way adjustables in the back. It's got Team Z drag springs in the rear, and it's got the UPR upper and lower non-adjustable chromoly with the polyurethane bushing control arms in the back instead of the stamped steel Ford factory.
Nice.
Other than that, I mean, it's literally. I guess you can't really call it stock anymore, but it's a stock shell with a stock bottom end.
Yeah, stock bottom end for sure.
And a stock T45 in it.
Nice.
Bone stock T45.
Jeez. So, what did it make on the dyno with this setup?
With this setup, was tuned up in Toms River at Wicked Motorsports, and it made 336, 329. Hold this one second. I'll go get you a dyno sheet. I actually have them still in my car.
Okay.
This is the dyno sheet right here. It's got nice good power all the way through the curve, running it out to 6,500. Yeah, max power 336 at 6,040 RPMs, max torque's 323 at 5,120.
Nice.
Yep.
On a 71-degree day?
It was, yeah, 71. That was a couple days ago. It was like super humid out too. It was that day that it was like starting to rain.
Gotcha.
A couple Mondays ago when we had like the monsoon for like 3 days in a row.
Yeah. Nice. And we haven't got to run in the quarter mile yet, so stick around for that. And we're gonna all go down to Ocean City, Maryland this in probably a couple months. So hopefully we'll see you down there too, and
First
go cruising the street.
First time this car has been down to Ocean City, Maryland in 8 years. 8 years.
Sounds about right.
It's where the second motor initially blew up. It was on the way to Ocean City, Maryland, and it did not make it. Well, it did make it down there, but it made it down there on 6 cylinders.
Hey, still made it.
I got about 40 miles out, and I was on Route 1 still, and I got a little nitrous happy with a bullet.
We all get nitrous happy.
With a bullet on the way down there, and
nice.
I left the piston ring,
okay,
the ringland, the valve, and the valve seat in my intake. It went up through the head and back into the intake.
Wow.
And I went, and for some reason it wouldn't start, obviously because I threw a valve and it was having a hard time starting, and threw a oxygen sensor code. So I went to Pep Boys because I had my other car following me down, and I put an oxygen sensor on the side of the road with a suicide jack, and the car started up. It sounded like it, but I made it the rest of the way, and I had it towed back by AAA for $49.99 from Ocean City, Maryland, back to good old South Jersey.
Nice.
And that's the last time she saw Ocean City, so hopefully, knock on wood, there is no repeat.
There's no repeat, and we're going to break the curse.
We're going to break the curse. And
we got to name her, because that's the best way to prevent a curse.
I don't know what to name this.
Red Rocket.
Red Rocket. I
the most mundane name you can think of off the top of my head.
I don't know if I can afford a name for this because of how much money is actually. I'm going to call this thing. What's Jeff Bezos' ex-wife name?
Oh, definitely Mackenzie Bezos.
This is a Mackenzie.
This is Mackenzie.
Because she took all my.
So why don't you say we take her out for a rip?
All right, let's go.
All right. Let's get a quick run in.
Here, watch out.
Yeah.
I'm running pretty lean.
Yeah, I gotcha. Should we go to the light and turn around and come back this way?
Let's just go to the light.
All right. Sounds good. What do you have done to it?
That's cam and intake, that's it.
Ah, cool.
Same.
Nice.
What's done to that? You got a plumber on it? Nah, heads cam intake.
Yeah.
Heads cam intake.
did?
Yeah.
Damn.
Was it which head's cam?
It's all trick flow, custom cam.
What do you say?
Trick flow custom cams.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then full bolt
I
on.
just got a B303 cam, that's it.
Oh, cool.
No specials.
Yeah. Looks
Nice.
good, man. Looks
Nice.
clean.
Hey.
Alright.
Alright, I'll see you.
I'll see you guys.
You got a YouTube or something?
Yeah. The first 60 foot. The first 60 foot videos, all underscores, no space.
Okay.
So.
Check us out.
I'll see you guys.
Alright, I'll catch up to you. Not a bad first outing. Hell yeah.